Hey everybody, I'm Justin Mychals, and I'd like to thank ProMotion for having me here today. Here's a little tune for you called I Come From Virginia. I come from Virginia. I was born in Tennessee. Started working on the farm when I was only 3. Me and Daddy was out in the woods at the crack of dawn. Mama would ring the dinner bell and we'd head home. We cut tobacco in the morning and hung it from a pole. Every evening we'd go down to our favorite fishing hole. We'd get catfish and fry 'em up in the pan. We learned early how to live off the land. People always ask me where I come from. I come from Virginia. Virginia is my mom. Daddy never saw eye to eye with that Sunday morning preacher, but he sure was in love with my Sunday school teacher. Mama would teach us all about the golden rule. Daddy said, do unto others, son, before they do unto you. Well, there's two sides to the story, and then there's the truth. Sometimes life is hell, living under one roof. Daddy never talked down or lived above his raising. Mama said, follow the dreams you're chasing. And people always ask me where I come from. I come from Virginia. Virginia is my mom. And people always ask me where I come from. I come from Virginia. Virginia is my mom. Daddy sowed the seeds, Mama sang the songs. Daddy sowed the seeds, Mama sang the songs. Daddy sowed the seeds, Mama sang the songs. Their faith, sweat, and tears made our mountain home. People always ask me where I come from. I come from Virginia. Virginia is my mom. This is Hallelujah Hill. The sun rose on that sleepy little hut, just like any other day. Y'all gathered round Hallelujah Hill when it came time to pray. Prayed for rain so the crops would grow. Prayed for mercy to save their souls. High on that hill they felt closer to God, living by His law. They They didn't spare the rod. Abigail was the preacher's daughter. She was Daddy's little girl. Sweet young smile and gingham dress, she was his whole world. Jasper was the man that did the devil's deed. He stole the preacher's daughter and sowed Satan's seed. The child was taken against her will. Now she seeks salvation on Hallelujah Hill. They'd meet on Mount, see God's will. They all hold hands and pray on top of Hallelujah Hill. They bowed their heads as Jasper paid for his sins. They prayed as the score was settled. At the end of the rope, he danced his dance, a dance with the devil. Chucked him in the ground where no grass grows. They took his life, but they saved 2 souls. An eye for an eye was the rule of God. They followed the book, and they didn't spare the rod. They met on the mountain, see God's will. They all hold hands and pray on top of Hallelujah Hill. Everybody's got a guardian angel. Here's one about mine. Oh, Mama's. Don't know how much whiskey it takes. Drank you off my mind. Every night still seems worth it. But it's 27.99. I'll never get back what I've spent trying to break these chains that bind. I'll raise my glass to another year, those left behind. Woke up to my cell phone ringing, devil screaming in my head. Devil tells me that I'm lucky, I'm not dead. Looks like I just tied one on. You'll taste that bottle in my mouth. Judging by this 45 right here, it's a damn good thing I passed out. I've been down in this hole before, never quite so deep. I I remember what my mama said. She said, son, you gotta pray the Lord your soul to keep. I woke up to my cell phone ringing, devil screaming in my head. Devil tells me that I'm lucky, lucky I'm not dead. Just like my mama told me, last night an angel helped me out. While I was drunk, I wrote a letter. What was I thinking about? It says right here on this note, grab that trigger and pull it. And then someone else wrote in red, said, son, she ain't worth bullying. I woke up to my cell phone ringing, devil screaming in my head. Devil tells me that I'm lucky, lucky I'm not dead. Woke up to my cell phone ringing, devil screaming in my head. Devil tells me that I'm lucky, lucky I'm not dead. Mama's angel writes in red. Mama's angel writes in red. Here's a little minors and shiners for you. Two things made a living around here in the 20s. Most folks worked or poured a load, none had plenty. You broke your backs down in them dark coal mines, or you hid in the hills where you brewed that shine. Granddaddy swore he'd never crawl down in the ground, so he brewed his shine, Lord, and spread it all around. One night on the run, he got jacked in the heels, or got away, Lord, two got killed. A damn good gun, he told the judge, caused him to sin. Granddaddy spent 4 years in the Virginia State Pen. Left Daddy in charge of 4 mouths to feed, so Daddy went down deep in the mines to earn his keep. Daddy was a black-faced, hard-working, pushing the dust coal miner. Granddaddy was a gun-toting son of a bitch and spit-in-your-face moonshiner. But two paths to follow, Lord, you gotta take one. Do you follow his daddy, or do you follow his son? Daddy worked hard down in deep, dark mines, while Granddaddy was in Richmond doing his time. Daddy worked like a man to be 11 years old, made $1 digging that black dust gold. Granddaddy got parole, lost 4 years in the pen. Swore he was never going back there again. Oh, gun on a man down at the hardware store. Ball caught him drunk with a local town whore. Daddy came up from hell, Lord, he spit out the dust. Know he wound up dead, pull the rust. He thought about Granddaddy doing his time, so then he threw down his pick, Lord, and started running shy. Daddy was black-faced, hard-working, pushing the dust cup miner. Granddaddy was a gun-tote, son of a bitch, and spit in your face, moonshiner. Ain't but 2 paths to follow, Lord, you gotta take one. Do you follow his daddy, or do you follow his son? Two things made a living round here in the 20s. Most folks worked or poor, Lord, none had plenty.
Welcome to the ProMotion Studios. Today we're joined by Justin Mychals. Justin, thanks for stopping by.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your music, how you got started playing.
Well, I live in Upper East Tennessee, near
Kingsport area.
Kingsport area, Johnson City, Bristol. From there, and been playing since I was like 7 years old, and been I guess a full-time musician for most of my life. You know, I've done some other things, but for the most part, started playing in rock and roll bands way back in the day, and jumping off of speaker stacks, and never did quite bite the head off of dead chickens, but you know, we wanted to, and then got out of it for a while, and just decided to get back into it about 25 years ago with this act, and I was in Charlotte, North Carolina, working over there, and started making a full-time living at it again, and through all of the things that I tried to do away from music, I would go 3 or 4 years, and then the bottom would fall out, and we'd start back over doing whatever corporate job there was.
Yeah.
I've done this this is going on my 27th year as a full-time musician, so I guess I'm going to make it.
27 years
of this particular run. Yeah.
Oh, okay, wow.
Just this particular run.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So when you started playing, was it just guitar that you gravitated towards, or were you trying to just write music, or just be in a band and get girls?
Get the girls. I started playing when I was 7 years old, and my brother, who was 7 years older than me, we both got guitars on the same Christmas.
Oh, cool.
And I've learned it faster than he did.
Oh, I bet he didn't like that.
He didn't like it at all, and I loved it because that's where I got all the attention, you know, and Mom and Dad fell all over themselves, you know, patting me on the back and doing all this, and I would get to play his electric guitar. I had a toy one.
Were your parents musical as well?
No, but a lot of people in my family were. My uncle was a phenomenal guitar player, and he's the one that kind of gave me the basis for it and everything. And
gotcha.
And then we would go to family gatherings, and 3 or 4 people would play, and I'd go over to his house. My mom would take me over to his house, and we'd play all day long. I mean, literally.
So the porch picking thing kind of came naturally as well.
Yeah, I'm a porch picker. Didn't get a whole lot of, you know, you'll hear people talk about they were in the choir at church and stuff. I didn't get a whole lot of musical background from that, but the porch picking, I had a great uncle and 2 cousins that were just phenomenal bluegrass pickers, and Mom would take me over there, and I'd start playing with them, and then I'd just sit there and listen to them and stuff, and they'd always teach me a little bit of something. So you just pick up here and there, and then high school came around, or junior high and high school, and we started in rock bands.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Yeah. So does that kind of inform like some of the stuff that you play now, because you've got it verges on like kind of a Neil Young-ish vibe because of you got Americana with rock influence and we were talking Appalachian, is that what you were saying?
No, it's I call it Appalachian Mountain Soul because I had to call it something.
Yeah, Appalachian Mountain Soul.
Yeah, and that comes from now I think there's a real big folk influence, which I didn't really think about it, but where it came from is I'd gravitate toward the stories that I learned, and the stories for me are I don't want to say easier, but the songs come faster to me, and it's what I enjoy writing about. And as you get older, which I'm over 28, you tend to look at your finiteness, and I found that as people get older, they want to know where they come from. May not be important to you up through 40, 45 years old, and then after 45, you're like, wonder what I'm doing here and how I got here. Yeah. It may not be true for everybody, but I tend to see that. So later on in life, when as I learned, I was a terrible songwriter, and now I just feel like I'm just okay.
And you write a lot.
I write as every day if I can.
How many songs do you think you average like in a month or so?
I never keep count. I write, and then you look back, and then you got a body of work, and I view my bodies of work almost like chapters of a book or chapters of your life.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool. And you go, during this section of time, this is what I was doing, and this is what I was going through, and this is kind of what came out of me, and then this is what I was interested in, or this is where the ideas came from.
Yeah.
And ideas come from everywhere, and I don't tend to write one specific thing or sit down with an agenda to write. I just, an idea will come to me, and then most of the time the story will, and then, you end up saying, I want to write about this, or hey, let's do this. Or you'll sit down with a group of writers, and hell, you don't know what's coming out of that.
Yeah.
And if you're, I'm trying to get to the point where I don't write a specific thing. It's just somebody will kick an idea out, and we'll start writing about it. Or we'll sit there and tell stories.
Yeah.
Like this makes me think of this.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned writing with other people. You do a lot of like the songwriter in the round kind of stuff as well.
Yeah,
Who are some of the people that you enjoy like writing with, or some of the songs that you've enjoyed like?
Oh gosh, I've written with Jeff Lane, who is you know Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
He's a ProMotion stable guy, and he and I have written 4 or 5. We've had 4 or 5 really good sessions. Doesn't sound like much, but we've had about 8 songs come out of those.
Wow!
And he sends me off in a direction that I never even think of. When we start talking, and sometimes I think of the very first of it, and then he takes the song off, and then sometimes he'll think of something, and he'll have that idea, and then it's always great to go, have you thought about doing this? And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. I've written with a really good friend of mine named Kenneth Smith. He's a drummer from Hampton, Tennessee, and a great writer. He's been in Nashville forever. He's played with a ton of people, and right now he's currently playing for Connie Smith.
Wow!
On the Grand Ole Opry thing, and they're not doing it. Everything's down because of the quarantine and stuff. But he did that, and I learned a lot from him. This is how you do a song. This is how you get an idea across, and not necessarily like a what they call the Nashville style or the Nashville code or the Nashville way of doing something. Just the way you look at things, the way you research. You learn how to research. Two of the greatest things that I learned was you can research something. It doesn't just have to come out of your mind. You can find out about something, and that'll bring a story in. And then the other thing is you can rewrite.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that you'll get with, and they just want to pull stuff out of the air. And sometimes that works. Sometimes it doesn't. I find that if I know kind of what I'm writing for, and I think I've mentioned this to you one time, character development is cool.
Yeah. Telling a story and having characters evolve.
Even if you don't use anything that you write about, it's important to see that person that you're writing about. If there's a person in your song,
right?
I have just got through writing with a guy named, well, not get through. We write at least once a week. His name's Benny Wilson.
Yeah.
And Benny used to be on the road for about 8 or 9 years with Janie Fricky back in her heyday. And he's been exposed to thousands of great writers, and he's a wealth of knowledge. And I've learned a lot from him. But we sit down every week, and every one of our sessions start mainly with a cup of coffee and, hey, how's it going? What'd you do this week? And we just sit there and talk for a while. And then all of a sudden, an idea will pop out, and then somebody will say, well, have you ever thought about doing this? And then the other guy will say, well, did you think about doing this? And one of the songs I want to do for you guys today is a song called Hallelujah Hill. And Benny, for instance, and I love this. This was so top to bottom, A to Z. This is how maybe you should write a song. He said, I just had this really cool thing coming around in my head called Hallelujah Hill. And I said, what's it about? He said, I have no idea. He said, it just rolls off the tongue good. Hallelujah Hill. And he wanted to write it from a religious standpoint. And I said, have you ever thought about maybe Hallelujah Hill is the place where a small town, that's their center point. Maybe that's where they go to take all of their problems and all of their stuff, and they all gather around Hallelujah Hill and they hold hands and they pray. He went, man, I like that. So then we started, that started it. And then I started thinking of how can we make this intriguing, and how can we make it the reason that they go to Hallelujah Hill. And he was still trying to go down a religious path with it, and I kind of steered him away. And I said, what happens if there's a tragedy in the town? And the tragedy is what everybody comes together to take care of. And so it ends up, we sat down and did character development of we had 3 characters in it, and one of them was, well, 4. There was the townspeople, and then one character was the preacher, and one character was her daughter, and another one was a guy named Jasper. And we sat down and put clothes on them and talked about them and what they looked like and how they walked and how they talked and everything. And none of that made it into the song. But when you sat down and you started thinking about the song, you saw those people walk up, and you saw those people, what they do and everything. And I pulled probably 3 different stories of tragedies that happened to little young girls, and it sounds awful to look at, but that's where the story came from, and that's what the town gathered around, and that's how they saved and who they saved and whatever. So that's and it ended up. I'm going to play the song for you, and then you can see if you like it or not. How's that?
See, I mean, I love like building a story like that because it's so effective. Like when you paint a full picture like that, even during the process, it informs the writing in a way that makes it so much more sincere. Like one of my favorite songs of all time is Bobby Gentry's Ode to Billy Joe, and that is by far one of the best like storytelling songs. And the music itself,
absolutely,
it informs like the writing of the music, and it all becomes like a nuanced thing.
I have told many people, if you want to become a songwriter and you're serious about it, there's certain songs you should study, and at the top of the list is Ode to Billy Joe. Yeah. I mean, and if you can't feel the Mississippi heat, and if you can't smell the food coming off of the table, and if you can't hear
trains rolling in the background,
exactly, or if you can't see her face of disgust and disdain and wonderment and also sadness,
pain,
at the end of the table, and I'm the baby,
and obliviousness around the table.
I was just getting ready to say I'm the baby of my family, and we all kid about they didn't even know I was there until I was like 14. You know, you can get lost in it, and the whole table was around it, and that dinner side table is you can like I say, you can just taste the food, you can smell it, and that's how I want to write. If somebody's listening to me, that's what I want. I want them. You know, you want to evoke an emotion, and it doesn't have to be love, and it doesn't have to be anger all the time. It just needs to evoke.
It has to be something.
It has to be something that evokes emotion. You're just not sitting there listening to it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's that emotion when you're listening to rock and roll. That's what makes you push the gas pedal down and get a speeding ticket.
It's that energy. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. You know, so So that's what you want to go for, and I'm so happy you brought up Ode to Billie Joe. Like I say, it's I think it's just it's the quintessential.
It's one of those. Yeah, actually, you said, anybody that writes a song should probably listen to it at least once.
They should probably study it for a couple of years, but at least listen to it once.
There's people that are still studying it. They're still discussing what she threw off that bridge. So.
Absolutely, and I'll kid people. I'm like, what do you think she threw? Why do you think she threw it? What's the deal? Yeah. So anyway,
so where can people find your music, Justin?
They can find me on Spotify under Justin Mychals, and Mychals is Mychals, and I'm on iTunes. I'm on YouTube. The only time you have trouble finding me is if I owed you money.
Okay. So look him up. Find some of that music because you've got quite a catalog out right now too, as well.
Thank you. I got 3 CDs that are on all of those formats, and then I'm in the middle of releasing singles on Spotify now. In fact, again, I'll do 2 of those.
That seems to be kind of the preferred way of doing things now, is to just kind of go the single route, and then when you've got enough singles, maybe put an album together.
Well, it's the preferred way till next week, and somebody says something different.
Exactly.
I mean, that's
honestly, they keep moving the goalposts.
Exactly. That's how fast they go. But it makes sense to me that under the Spotify thing, and not that your viewers are interested in this or whatever, but if you release an album, you can't re-release singles on Spotify.
Yeah.
So if you release the single, you can have 5 or 6 different releases. Then you can put them together and sell it as a CD. But you can't go backwards on that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Spotify will ever change that or what, but that seems to be the modus operandi. Yeah, that's a big word for a 12-year-old.
The modus, the MO.
It's the
exactly. MO of the day.
So
check out Justin Mychals. Go get some music. And, man, thanks for stopping by.
I appreciate you having me, man.
Absolutely.
It's been a pleasure, and I'm so happy to be with ProMotion LLC. So
check
those guys out. Check me out. Go to, can I do the shameless
plugs? Yeah.
Okay, you can catch me at Justin Mychals Music on Facebook. That's my page. And then justinmychals.com. That's my website. Go there, join my email list, and join my online community, the Shiner Nation. That's the way you'll get exposed to all of this Appalachian Mountain Soul and all of the good times. So I hope to see you there.
All right. We'll see you later, Shiner Nation. And don't forget to like and subscribe down below, and that way you won't miss another ProMotion live session.